Hello, the world of YouTube, in people in YouTube land. How are we? I'm Lucky Sixes. This is Matty P.
Hey, Lucky Sixes, how you doing, man?
Oh, very good, and I'm very good. Glad to have you back.
Well, it doesn't seem like a year, does it? Let's be honest.
Crazy.
Only seems
crazy.
like 5 minutes ago we were sitting here toasting Craig Johnson's win, but it's a year and we're back.
Yeah, I know, and very excited to do yet another Road to Masters video here. I said welcome to people on YouTube, but I guess we should say welcome to podcasters, podcast listeners.
Absolutely.
Everywhere.
Yep. Podcasters all over the place.
Your neck of the woods, right?
Well, absolutely. Obviously, one half of the Paired Weapons podcast, but there's a whole bunch of podcasts out there who's going to be making a big wave about this UK and Republic of Ireland Masters 2022, mate. The content's just flowing, isn't it?
It is, and funny you should say. Well, right from the start, we'll get off. This is what the kind of schedule looks like marketing-wise, and there's loads. I think we totaled 8 different podcasts or channels to get involved with. So everyone watching, pause and look up. We won't stay on this too long, but go check out everybody's. Thank you to everybody that's got involved. Some new people as well this year. So Whispers of the Vale and the Cavalier's Tale are getting involved as well. So that's really cool. And loads to look out for. Not only everything on there, but also player interviews as well.
Absolutely, yep. We've just, in fact, as we speak, I'm uploading my interview with Mikey Newman. Mikey Newman does a podcast. Can you believe it, mate?
I literally can't. That's insane to me.
I've been working on that for like at least 18 months. So, yeah.
And speaking of guests, here
we
are.
Have we got some guests for you today, viewers, haven't we? Well, first of all, he's the king of the MSU list. It's Captain of England. It's Tanka. How are you, mate?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good,
yeah, really good.
Buddy. Good, buddy. And alongside him, we've got King of the Sylvan Elves and King of all things wood-related, and the purveyor of crapples. It's my mate Josh. Josh, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you all?
Very good. Have we got a grapple on the go tonight?
No, we've got cider tonight.
Okay.
So keeping it casual.
Fair play. I like it. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for joining us on this. Josh, your first time on the channel?
Yep, first time.
Yeah, and well, I say, welcome and congratulations, both of you, to getting into the Masters.
Cheers, guys.
That's my first Masters event, I think.
Yeah, really mixing with the big boys. Tanker's there going, yeah, all right, come on, pipe down. But mixing with the big boys now.
Yeah. We'll see how long I stay there for, but hopefully.
No.
How are you feeling about the whole thing, Josh? You excited? Are you nervous? Sleepless nights yet?
Oh, not sleepless nights. I'll take every game as it comes. Try and win every one.
Good man.
Yeah, we took to Mikey last night. We said, got any advice for sort of noob going to the ETC? He said, just have zero respect for your opponent. So there you go.
And Tanker, as someone that's a regular at these sort of major events, how are you feeling going into it?
Underprepared, probably. Work's been a little bit busy recently, so not quite done any prep so far. Still not sure which army I'm taking either. So.
Fantastic. Will there be any random rolls, or are you gonna pick the?
No, it'll be something I own. So
okay, sure.
I've got 4 armies. I could probably do 5 if I stretched my elves to do another race.
Yeah, fair play. But no, that was good. Yeah, that was really cool last year when you dice rolled it. It was very good.
And would we be right in assuming, Josh, then that you're going to be sticking with the Sylvans? Is that a state secret yet, or is that something that we can go firm on?
It's the only army I've ever used, so it's most of the army I'm going to stick with. I don't think I have a number 1 painted, and I don't think I could handle painting
this time as well.
What's that?
You're going to have to finish them off painting. George's being quite harsh with the painting points.
I mean, they're Callum's models, so they should be good. Yeah. Up to standard.
And it would be left field, though, if you went something else.
I mean, it would. It wouldn't go well, miserably. I haven't played anything else ever. So the army swap's going to miserably be my downfall.
Sure.
We'll see how that goes.
You're not going to turn up with a dipped KOE army then.
No, I think I'll get shoved out the door if I turn up with that.
Fair play. But no, yeah, like I said, thank you very much for joining us today. Today, viewers, we are here to talk about the roads to Masters. So these fine fellows have made it there and qualified through the year by attending lots of events. You two especially have attended lots of events. Between you both, just you two, you've attended all of them. So we're in fine stead here for talking about them. Just as a overview of them, there were 10 this year. Throughout the year, first 4 looking UB-ish, we'll say, and the rest with real life, baby. So that was really good. Obviously, this year's Masters is real life as well. Do you think that is a big factor from difference from last year, other than the format itself?
The build-up this year seems a bit more on the money, because last year we've been spread over 6 weeks.
Sure.
There's a lot of build-up in the 2 weeks, but then with the 6 weeks being on, there wasn't as much going on, whereas obviously with it being one weekend and being live coverage as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh, did you manage to catch any of the coverage last year?
Yeah, I really liked the coverage last year as a viewer. It was really nice to get involved, even though I wasn't in my Masters. And it's actually good to see what happens behind the scenes this year, being part of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because we've got, there's about 17 different WhatsApp groups, to be fair, at the minute. So it is, yeah, it's good. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, no, so, yeah, you, again, part of it on this side of the rope.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see what goes on and how much effort you guys put in. You do tremendous work.
Oh, thank you. I'll give you that tenner later.
He's a class act, isn't he, Crapple Man? So yeah. Would you say that you're a better player on UB or a better player in real life than Mads?
Real life for me, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the patience with UB that I used to have. After about hour 2.5, hour 3, I lose a bit of patience with UB.
What about you, Josh? Do you like the distance anonymity, or are you up close and personal?
I'd say I'm a better player on UB because my usual games take 4 hours with Sylvan Elves, so I'm all used to it. I've got all the patience in the world.
Fair play. Just looking at this list initially, we're going to go through them one by one. But do any stand out as some of your favourites of the year?
The Underdog Brawl was definitely mine. The whole veto system. Cool. UB was made for that, basically. I think if there's going to be UB events this year, and I hope there are still 1 or 2 floating around. If there are going to be UB events, it's definitely something I'd like to see brought back.
Yeah, for me, I think it was for fun. It was mostly tech, just because I got to see everyone again. It was like the first big tournament of the year. But my crowning jewel is Masters Open because I won it. And
that leads us very, very nicely into our first slide. Speaking about the Masters Open, it was run by our very own Matty P.
Well, yeah, I've got to be honest with you here. That although I did run part of it, James did most of the hard work there, the heavy lifting. James McConnell, of course, not to be referred to as Irish James anymore. Apparently, I've been doing that too much on the pod. So got to use his real name. Hi, James. How are you, mate? Yeah, no more Irish James, promised. But yeah, he did. He ran it and ran a bloody good show. Wasn't his first UB event. But I've got to be honest with you, it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. By that stage, people were very familiar with UB. And it just ran itself. It really did. We had maybe 2 issues over the entire six rounds.
Oh, great! And yeah, as you say, it was 6 rounds. There was using the official map pack. There we go, professional. And it was probably one of the major ones. As army swap was big, but the major parts of it was the detachment system we had.
Yeah. Well, that's something that we've been doing quite a lot of on things like fun games and stuff with sort of the Team Scotland, Team Ireland, sort of the Celtic fringe. So it was something that we were keen to do. It works really well, and of course, UB is the ideal format for this. Like Tanka was saying, it's if you can try all sorts of different things, and it adds a completely different element to the to the game as well. So yeah, I mean, it was a natural thing to do. And of course, by that stage, most people were generally a little bit bored of the traditional format. I mean, we've been doing it by that stage, well, getting on for a year, haven't we? So, people were looking to spice it up a bit, and it was a good option, I thought.
Yeah, and I guess with UB being, I mean, this one over the course of a month or so, I guess that changes it up a little bit and makes a UB style tournament a bit more interesting to the players. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think it makes it just changes it up, doesn't it? Makes it interesting, which is always a good thing.
Sure.
Some are hit and miss. But.
Yeah, I guess you could have some ideas that go way past, but yeah, this one was good. We should say the detachment system. Do you want to explain, Matty, what it is in essence?
Well, in essence, you pick you got to pick a central core given. I can't remember the points now on it, but I was thinking it was something that you had to pick something like 3,500, and then you had 1,000 points of sideboard A and 1,000 points of sideboard B, and you would select whichever one depending on who you're up against. And of course, they would then wait to see us. You roll off, and then one person would choose their sideboard, and then given that information, you could then select your sideboard constantly. Subsequently, I should say. So, that worked as an interesting sort of game within the game, and that worked really well. And of course, there was, in addition to this, there was an army swap round in this as well. So it kind of there was a double sort of filter element to it, which was really interesting. And I got warriors when I was playing warriors, and then I got warriors on the army swap round anyway. So it was kind of straightforward for that. But it was a really, and what's the other thing that's really good about the Masters Open, of course, is you basically take the 16 best players in the country out of it, and it's a chance for the guys at the shallower end of the of the playing pool to have their moment in the light, and even then I still couldn't even podium.
Fair enough. And speaking of people that shined, Mr. Josh Burns, you did very, very well.
Yeah, getting a win. It wasn't in my hands the whole time, but as I would like it to be, but I got the win in the end.
Yeah, very solid. Is that your first win of a tournament?
I think so. I've been top 3 before in tournaments, but I think that's my first win ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, congratulations on that. Another one from another Masters player this year is Che, getting a really solid finish in that as well.
He had the double forlorn block, didn't he? In fact, 3 of that top 5 beat me. So,
well, there you go.
Gareth, Rob, and Che all beat me. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, just looking was there as well. Che looks like he had a submarine as well.
Well, yeah, 2 losses to start off with for sure. Any looking at the maybe the army building and the detachment building or anything? Do you remember, Josh, probably more specifically, do you remember thinking of doing any shenanigans with the list building, or like the exact same but with an alchemy mage?
I think with Silverdale's, the detachment system was quite good because you can do like 2 opposites. So I think I did 2 units of 9 Pathfinders and 2 units of 5 Treekin.
Okay.
So they're just like total opposites to each other.
Sure.
And just play for the second turn and do the opposite of what my opponent does. And
did you find you had that a lot against opponents, that they went more on the opposites way on their detachment systems?
No, I think some people played it safe and just changed mage and stuff like that. But I think it benefited you a lot if you went the opposites.
Okay. Well, you clearly proved it as well. So well done. Next one of the year was another UB one, but probably one of the biggest UB we've ever seen. Is it safe to say? 70 players going to the Scottish Championships. You both attended this one, from what I remember. How did you find it?
totally forgot about it being 5K until you brought it up.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, the unique maps are really cool. I did like the thought they had put behind it as well. It definitely broke up the, as you say, everyone was a bit bored of UB by then as well.
Yeah, I do feel like at this point people were trying different stuff, even with something as big as the Scottish Championships, where obviously the winner would get an automatic place in the Masters. They're still doing, still 5 rounds in Swiss, but unique maps. So every round had a unique map, 5,000 points, and I guess because of the unique maximum, the larger points, they had 5 hours. So it was a different tournament, very much so. But even something as we'll say important, for want of a better word, as the Scottish Championships was played around with a bit because of the UB system.
It was nice as well because they all the maps were themed Scottish maps. So there was a sort of the Loch Ness, and there was sort of the Hadrian's Wall and Glasgow Cross and those sorts of things. So it was really unique. And of course, going into it, the Loch Ness thing with 2 big blocks of warriors was probably not sensible. Across the water.
I remember the wall one and going, oh yeah, this looks really good, until I realised I was beast herds and had all the chariots in the world. Oh no.
I played Mark's Saurus spam list with the dwarf gun lion. One. That was he just walked up to the wall and looked at me.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah. Speaking of, sort of obviously the winner goes straight into the Masters. Kev Stonebanks, your mate, won the whole event.
Absolutely. I mean, we actually sandwiched this. So Kev literally came first, and I literally came last, and I could not win anything. I mean, just everything abandoned me, and all my luck just went straight to Kev, who just went on an epic blitz straight through this.
Man.
He had a very punchy list. He plays very aggressively. But when he got to the final, and do you remember Lucky Sixes? We live streamed the final.
We did, yeah. I was very lucky against Hugh, wasn't it?
That was Hugh with his Demon Legions, and it was an absolute epic. I was really, really pleased for Kev. He come on leaps and bounds as a player during lockdown, and this was his crowning moment.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and this definitely proved you are yin and yang, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But I just if I can just get this in immediately after this. This is the last tournament he's come above me in since. So since then I've beaten him in tournaments.
Fantastic. Scottish. Not much else to say about it apart from well done to Kev, and perhaps something we were talking about off camera actually, Tanka. 2 Beast Herd top 1 and 2.
Yeah, so Beast Herds have had a bit of a weird year this year. They've actually done quite well in some of the UK events, whereas they're not traditionally seen as a strong army in a lot of metas at the moment.
Yeah, man. Especially if you talk to Craig, right?
Yeah.
Well, they actually came last in the tier, didn't they? Which was the basis of the balance patch. So they are officially the worst faction. Yeah. But not in the UK, it would appear.
From memory from this year, though, it seems to be the Mino Warlord block if you're going to run it in the UK meta.
Yeah, I know this one had so Kev's one had 2 Gortax and 3 Cyclopses, but I think he said just because of the 5,000 points, we could just monster mash it up, I think. But yeah, so well done, Kev, on that one. Tournament number 3 and the third UB one, your favourite, Underdog Brawl, ran by Shane Baxter, the veto system, where you sort of veto system is was it 3 units across the, or is it?
It was a core unit, a special unit, a unique unit, and a magic item.
Yeah. So in this one, for anybody that doesn't know, it was you met up with your opponent prior to playing. You early on in the week, again because it's UB, it was done week by week. You vetoed those categories, 1 from each, and then you went off and picked a list. Josh, were you in this one as well?
I didn't. I think it's the only one I didn't enter.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was going to say, yeah. So Tanka, as someone that was in it, how did you find the picking a list from scratch and vetoing? Did you, because obviously you pick an army to start off with, did you find that the same things were being vetoed each round?
Yes. Well, I was using Demon Legion, so I found the same things got vetoed a lot. I think maybe in hindsight, 5 vetoes is a little bit too many.
Okay.
I think that some of the armies with less choice looked very similar.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you managed, and out of it, you came third. So well done to you. You see, unless he wins, no emotion, is it? Blimey. But in that, it was a bit of a good showing from Team England, and Scotland as well. So some of the ETC teams. Jake coming second, just above you, and Ed winning within the day. Matty, you're captain.
Yeah, no, he was absolutely delighted with this. I remember watching a couple of these games, and obviously, Ed played really well. He's very good with the Orcs and Goblins, and I think this format suits them as well.
Sure.
Because they do have they're just so unpredictable, aren't they? And regardless of what you take out, there's always other good things to come in. It might look like a bit like a herd of cats, but they're angry cats, and some of them are pretty dangerous. So, but also, Tom Clue's there.
Yeah,
coming in fifth. That's first appearance from the Clues brothers out of Oxford. I remember when they first turned up at their first tournament, and Tom has come on leaps and bounds, hasn't he? So
absolutely, yeah.
There he is. Yeah.
Yeah, so
trying to play the game as well, where you wouldn't veto something hoping your opponent would take it, and then you try and counter it, that type of thing.
Sure. Okay, yeah. So even if it was perhaps one of the better things in that army book.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
It's basically all just mind games then.
Yeah, basically. There's a lot of mind games. So I played Jack with Highborn Elves and took the full shooting list, even with the flaming, just hoping he wouldn't take Rhymers because I'd left them open. And so that worked okay.
Nice.
And then against Jeff, I took the double Succubi units, which you don't normally see in any meta. But because I was playing other demons, double Succubi, both with poison attacks from the characters, just rinsed the other demon army.
Nice. So, did you playing in the tournament? Did you come across lists against you that were very, very different to what you would normally play then?
Yeah, I think the big thing it did was it just opened up different lists, especially if you play an army with only 3 or 4 core units.
Yeah,
you veto one. I did want to play ogres for this, but outside of bruisers, I wouldn't want to take big core units. So I ran away from them.
Fair enough. I guess Saurians were in that sort of bracket as well. You take away the one and you get the other. I don't know which one you take away though, because Skink Cloud I don't fancy. But anyway, so a really interesting one. Well done, Shane, for running that. 40 players again, pretty solid in terms of amount of people going towards it. Really good tournament. Next up, and I think this is the 4th of 4 UB tournaments. You can see we're already in June to July, so obviously the UB tournaments take up quite a bit of time when doing it. But this one was run by Hiristo. Getting 32 players is pretty solid for a UB and what's going on. And this was a 5-round Swiss from the official backpack. But the big draw of this was the Wandering Wizards and the wizard himself, which everyone got access to. So this was every army has access to this Wandering Wizard, who has a few extra special rules. Cannot use Hereditary Spell and Wizard See, Wizard Do, #Giant, as well. So yeah, really interesting. How did you guys find adding this into your lists? Do you think it definitely benefited some armies rather than others, and did that affect who you picked in the end?
I'm not sure it benefited some more than others, but there were some obvious choices.
Yeah,
I think I took Alchemy on Beast Herds, figuring that the army's already got rerolls to hits. Put Alchemy in, you get rerolls to wound for free, basically, along with a spell. So that was my whole premise: 3 big blocks with 3 flaming banners.
Nice. What did you do, Josh?
I think there was a lot of warriors and druidism as well. They were like all in on that. I took Thaumaturgy.
I played Druidism 3 times, so I quite like the flaming banners.
Yeah, I played Thaumaturgy with like a shooty army for the rerolls to wound and just comets. Didn't go too well. But I think my crowning moment was shooting off like 30 warriors in a round. Shooting
nice.
with pathfinders and archers.
Very nice. I mean, you have druidism all you like. Your unit's dead, right?
Exactly.
The one thing I can't remember if anyone did, and can't remember if it was a 0-1 choice as well. The wizard.
Can't
remember.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. But yeah, so Haristo, if you're listening, put it in the comments. Yeah, so interesting. There was one other thing, I guess, from the tournament's point of view, was a specialised scenario, and I'll take us off just for this, called Apocalypse, which was in round 4, so it was only one that got altered from recollection. So nominate a character other than your general during spell selection phase. This character can cast Impending Doom as a bound spell, level 5/8. Each time this spell is successfully cast, gain a counter. At the end of the game, the player with the most such counters wins the secondary objective. So something quite recently being talked about quite a bit is the secondary objectives. I think it's fair to say that a lot of people have sparked up conversations, especially from Craig's point of view, who's I think developing or has developed some packs as well to go along. So that'll be interesting to see. But this was probably one of the first times you saw someone actually come out of the box and design their own scenario for a real life tournament, right?
Yeah, I stole in the UB event I did the previous year. I stole an old 8th edition scenario.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very similar to 8th edition. So I just stole that. But yeah, this is the first one I'd seen that was unique. I've shared with Aristo. I didn't like it personally. There were a couple of games I watched on UB where opponents rolled 3 dice at a 5 or 4 dice at an 8 and didn't get it and lost the mission because of that, which it seemed a little bit harsh to open it up that much.
Yeah, sure.
So what's your sort of generalised thinking about different secondaries outside of the traditional 6? Is that something you'd welcome?
Yeah, 100%. I play quite a bit of Lord of the Rings, and there's 12 core, but there's probably 30 odd scenarios now in Lord of the Rings, and it just brings something interesting. And it also makes people think on their feet a little bit more as well, because if you only have 5-10 minutes to prep what you're going to do, it's a bit harder for players as well.
Yeah. What about deployments as well? Would you welcome different deployments as in addition to those?
I would. I honestly think the deployments need the 6 that they currently have aren't great either, because I find that Dawn Assault and Diagonal end up being very similar a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Have a corner. So yeah, I think I would enjoy it, but I think the core 6 need a bit of tweaking as well.
Sure. No, yeah. So with that in mind, I mean, you might not have liked it, but you did well enough.
Yeah, no, I like the sort. I like the list. It did cover the beast-head weaknesses.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
so you won 5 games and still didn't win it when Hugh won.
Yeah,
won 4,
I got picked. Hugh was, from memory, was. So we played in the last game. I think we did anyway. I will have to check this, but I'm pretty sure he was far enough ahead and I couldn't push him hard. So basically, he just took the small loss.
Sure.
I will check that actually happened. I have a memory of this in a game anyway. I can't remember if it was this game.
Might be just for fun anyway. But yeah, so you and Hugh top it going 1-2. Tom Clues again with a nice fancy pole position. Podium position. And Colin and Rory polishing off the top 5. Obviously, Colin didn't do too many tournaments this year, but when he did, he still gets 4th. And Rory showing that, his Masters was no one-trick pony last year. He can still do it, so that was good. On to real life now. So there was
what a relief this was, wasn't it, Lucky Sixes? Get back playing again.
And I know this technically was the first one, but I know Jordan wanted to be there was a bit of a fight-off for who went first in real life. Everyone was so desperate. But Jack got there first, 24th, 25th of July. 36 players, which was pretty good considering actually how close it was to coming live, I guess, from the lockdown and stuff. Because it was so early on, I think we just went to back to just the regular 4,500 5 rounds. We're gonna get pissed anyway, so let's just have a nice tournament. Nice.
Absolutely. Well, it was great. It was lovely, but it also felt really, really weird to be in a room with like loads of people. And it was great to see everybody again. And obviously, Frome was completely new to everyone as well. Obviously, it's Jack's stomping ground just outside of Bath. But it was, we thought it was a sleepy little quiet market town in the middle of Somerset where, nothing exciting would ever happen. Great venue and just really good to catch up with everyone again.
It was a very good tournament title, let's put that.
Yeah.
And we'll say no more. The winners, your mate, one of the Chester boys, massive crew, east side.
Got to hear it all the way home in the car, yeah.
I bet you did. And nice to see Harissa getting a thing, and Tom Clues again with a solid finish. So
do you know he's had a really good year, hasn't he?
Yeah,
I didn't realise that he'd done quite as well as he obviously has done.
Yeah,
so,
I think
well done, Cluesy.
I think from memory it was only 4 tournaments as well he went to. So he's done very well, and he is one of the Masters people. 2 highborns getting the top 2. I remember that being a bit of a thing.
Kind of was the year of highborn, wasn't it? There were a lot
of
wars across Europe as well.
Interesting, because the previous year in the tier list they were bottom, so this means that this year B-Seds are really going to be pushing it. Tell Kev.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, we were talking about his choice of army actually this morning, and he was saying, "Do you think I should take beast turns?" I was like, "Yeah, man, of course, absolutely." Sure. So I still think they've got a lot to bring to it. But there's John Turner down there with the ogres as well.
Yeah.
Not as many ogres this year as in the top 5 as we might usually have thought. Is that?
I think everyone's played against and knows how to play against the Wild Heart list now. That's the big problem with them.
Sure. Mm. Yeah. So that was Through and Fight Club, named for a reason. Black Country Brawl. I can't talk tonight. Black Country Brawl 3. Jordan. Only a few weeks later. 40 players. Again, I think that maxed out the people that were there. I actually made it to this one as well. Whoop whoop. So yeah, just I guess one of the big differences in this one, and I say big, it was very small, was that auxiliary armies were allowed, and including giants, I think, for this one. So there was some. I remember Luke taking a giant for Empire, for example, and things like that. So that sort of mixed it up a little bit, but not too much, because again, it was so early doors that people just wanted to get involved, I guess. In terms of winners, Mikey smashed it up with his vampires. Very good thing for him. Hugh again with a solid positioning, and same with you with Ogre Khans. I do want to ask, Tanka, was this the start of the Ogre Khan list?
Yeah, well, it's actually from a couple of years ago. I ran it, probably 3 years ago now. But I ran it with Pyro back then. So yeah, it's a similar list again at the moment.
Sure.
The Giants being so cheap now and so good in comparison to what they used to be, just made the list a lot better as well.
Yeah, and with that, it was it's 2 units of Bombardiers?
3.
There we go. Just even more filth.
How's it looking without Crown now?
They've gone down in points as well, Bombardiers, in the update. So
there we go. So Masters, right?
No.
Tanker, do you remember who you lost to in your first game there?
Yeah, it was you.
Okay.
That was this was the first. I didn't run the list with Crown in this one, and I lost 2 units and a wizard in turn 3 to panic tests.
Oof. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it really put the Crown back into perspective for the list, or Banner of Disciplines at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as well, looking at those top 5, all of which are Masters people this year. So that was a good showing from all of them, really. Luke Williams as well, especially special mention for him. And his Undying Dynasties. Now he's done very well with an army that doesn't get seen a lot in the UK.
Yeah, there's definitely some familiarity. I don't want to say benefit because that's undervaluing Luke, but there's definitely an advantage in taking a list that people don't play against as much.
Sure.
Luke was getting solid results with other armies as well.
Yeah,
so.
man. And
he's a good player.
Yeah, very good player. And from what I remember, he's always had an Undying Dynasties thing that he's done. Probably, I don't want to say majority because I haven't seen the rest of his things, but has used them pretty solidly each year.
I think Luke plays for New Zealand, ETC, doesn't he? And I think he's taken them to ETC a few times. So he's a very accomplished player, knows what he's doing with it. Yeah.
But no, solid all round. And two. Oh, I've got Ogre Khans and Ogre Kingdoms there. Which would you prefer?
Is it Khan? It's Khan's, right? It's Khan's, right, on the 9th side?
I think it's Kingdoms, but I don't know. We'll skip past it as if I've never made a mistake. Cardiff Open, 24 players. We should say, firstly, Rob Cousins put this on in a new venue for Cardiff, for the Cardiff Open.
To anyone who hasn't been yet, I haven't been to Bristol myself yet, but it's far and away the best gaming venue now as well.
Unfortunately,
it looks fantastic, doesn't it? I mean, when someone was showing me pictures of it, I was like, "Are you in some sort of corporate conference centre?" And they're like, "No, mate, that's Firestorm." And I was like, "Wow, that looks awesome." If only I was allowed back into Cardiff.
Yeah, it's very good having there will be a bar on site. There wasn't on the opening weekend, so you bring your own booze.
What was this the opening weekend as well? Is that what tied it in?
Yeah,
that was cool, man.
So yeah, having every single table there's got a map. What are they called? Not a map, a roll.
Like dice box.
Yeah. The space at every table. It was just a really good venue. Right. The store's really good downstairs. Yeah. The only problem with it is, compared to the old Cardiff, which was still a good venue, it's a bit further out of town. You're talking a 2-mile taxi now rather than a 10-15 minute walk.
Sure. What were you saying, Josh, about the venue as well?
I'll say it's an old car dealership, so that's why it looks quite fancy.
Okay.
The
estate agent still there selling it?
Still selling cars a lot, yeah.
Yeah, right. In terms of the event, Tanka, finally, not the bridesmaid.
Yeah.
You spawned a list here that really captured everyone's attention. This was, and I loved your justification for picking it. Do you want to share it with the viewers?
So I wanted a list that I could get, because Cardiff is known as quite a boozy city. I wanted a list that I could get very, very drunk on and still just push it at people, and it did that. To be honest, I have very, very vague memories of Game 3. That's it.
What was in the list? I mean, I know it pretty much off by heart, but go on, tell us.
It was a couple of wizard adepts, one on alchemy and one on evocation. I think they had Rod of Battle and the reroll random moves items.
Yeah.
A massive block of 30 warriors with great weapons in core. Or it might have been 25 with a mark at that point. I can't remember which way around I did it, but I think it was 30 warriors.
Yeah, it was 30 unmarked warriors.
That built the whole core up with Zealot Banner, 3 4s of Chosen Knights with Flaming Banner, and 2 6s of Wretched Ones.
Yeah, and it's coming to get you.
I mean, and looking at, and you dropped 4 points.
Yeah, I was gutted. Dropped 2 points in round 1 and 2 points in round 5.
So, and round 1 when you're sober.
I did get very lucky with draws as well, because the list doesn't like static shooting armies that can deploy in a corner, and I didn't play any, so I was quite happy with that.
But yeah, I mean, 96 out of 100, pretty solid.
Yeah, it was good.
Good.
The same combo, the Beast Herds.
Sure.
Wrath +1 to hit combined with Flaming Banners. It's kind of cheating when you get a little 2 dice spell off and you get your auto hitting almost and auto wounding.
Sure. Yeah. No, fair play. Well done. Another solid position from Hugh as well, who's cropped up probably more times than we've mentioned him and given him credit for. Another one from Mark as well, your friend. Was this another long journey home?
No, he wasn't quite as boastful on this one, so it's all right.
Fair play. That's good.
And an appearance for James Brown as well, back in the country. That must have been the first tournament for him for a while back in the UK.
Yeah, and then we were out to the daylight was coming in when we got home. So it was a good night.
Good man.
Good stuff.
James was running the triple Hydra, triple Thunder pack as well.
So how were you game 4?
Still drunk. I was fine game 4. Game
really?
Game 5 was painful. I remember we went to Metros and we basically filled up the bar with drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a good, I don't know, there was a good 7-8 drinks each in the first round.
Could have stayed out with you then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going complete opposite way of the country, Water in the north. Paul McNeil, some of the Mad Git Radio chaps, getting in on this one. This was fairly standard, and something that we'll probably touch on towards the end of this video is that actually coming back to real life, I think there was more emphasis on just getting back to tournament life probably this year more than any sort of mixing it up like the UBs did, because for reasons really. In this one, Dan Minto pops out. Where's he come from? Popping out with a big old tournament win. Mark Greensill again smashing it up, getting a big win there. But yeah, some different names this time round, which was really nice to see.
Yeah, well, the a lot of the, obviously, you know, it's Sterling and Common Ground Games. It's a great venue. If you ever get the chance, do go to one of these tournaments up there. They're really good fun, and the Scottish lads will certainly show you an excellent time. And Stirling's a good town to go out in as well. Although you probably don't go out drinking with Fraz.
Well, unless you want to kip with him under the table game 4, right?
Well, you know, absolutely, because you'll have a lot of fun here. You'll have some stories to tell.
Was this the one where Fraz was winning day 1?
I think it was the one.
Okay.
Boxy was winning. Boxy was taking this out on day 1. I think he only dropped like 1 point on day when he had the double alpha list, which was just no magic and just shove it straight at you. He's obviously been hanging around with Botneck too much.
Yeah, man.
so I think both of them had no magic crush lists, didn't they? But what's really nice about the Scotland setup as well is there's quite a thriving ninth age scene in the sort of Durham, Newcastle area, but they don't tend to come to tournaments other than the Scottish tournaments as well. They have run a couple of tournaments themselves up in Durham, great fun as well. But you know, they often come up to the Stirling tournament. So you do see some names there that you won't necessarily see, like Matt Wilson, for example. So there's some good players up there as well. Yeah, they're no slouches.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of the Irish boys coming to the Scotland one as well. They're all good.
Yes. Fun. Yeah, they all pile across and. Yeah, so you get like Bosey and James and and Craig and people like that. And boy, they like a drink. So you'd enjoy that, Josh. I reckon a night out with them.
Yeah, I was in a night out with them actually. It was quite good fun. We didn't get too silly, but we're all good lads. Yeah,
and they're pretty big lads as well, aren't they? Craig Brady's big boy. So.
Oh yeah.
And Bosey as well. Honestly, I don't know what they're feeding him in Ireland, but I'm glad I didn't grow up there. So.
Right, well, next one. I don't know what to say there. So, them or Che? Who would win?
Oh, do you know what? I'd pay good money to see Craig and Che go at it.
I'd have to say Che. That's the only one I've seen fight.
Right, okay, fair play. And speaking of fighting, Froome Fight Club round 2. A little bit less this time in terms of people, which obviously does affect the scores for rankings in some regard. The only difference here was probably a no painting requirement. I think that was because it was quite a short turnaround.
He'd done the same for the first Froome as well, hadn't he?
Sure, so, yeah. And getting at that, but this was another one again, a pretty high taking from Mark. How close was he to? I know there's 4 points, but how close was he to winning?
Well, you know, I always play the person who comes above Mark, so I always give them a helping hand so they can beat him.
That's nice
kind
of
my
you.
thing.
Yeah. Did you play in last round?
I think I did. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
20 me.
But Tanka again, another very solid third place, and I need to shout out Tommy Tucker here. for getting a 5th. Fair play to you, big man. Well done for that. Any different lists or anything coming out from this side of things from Fight Club 2?
Not that I remember. It was quite a nice casual tournament. So all 12 players went to the curry house.
Nice.
We found a curry house that was. We were the only people in there, and it was literally one staff member.
Oh, mate.
So it was quite nice. Just have So there was all 12 of us in there having a drink or two.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. But yeah, and last one of the year, 61 players, so like a huge, really ending the year, I guess, even though it was November, on a really, really big high in English Championships. Again, the winner of this would get automatic qualification, so that perhaps helped out with numbers as well and stuff like that. I guess the other one that is missing from this, before we get onto this, is the Welsh Championships. There wasn't one this year. Cardiff Open was... I'm in an hour in whether to join with it or not. So this was the last chance really to get a automatic qualification if you hadn't already. But also because there would be so many people going, probably a good chance for people to get that last boost of points anyway. Being 61 players, if you got like maybe a top 20, you might even push yourself above some people. So this was interesting to go.
It was the first tournament that we'd been back to where we started seeing foreign players as well out with the Republic coming across as well, because we had a few guys coming in from the continent as well. So it really felt like old times. It was great.
And Mikey putting this on, so thanks to Mikey. I should say, from my point of view, Matty P, thanks for putting us up in.
It's my pleasure, mate.
The only house I've ever seen with a rock climbing wall in it.
Well, yeah. What can I say? It's my daughter wants a rock climbing wall. She gets a rock climbing wall.
That's hashtag father love. And anyway, speaking of which, in the tournament, was the first place went to automatic qualifier. Who had already qualified? How selfish.
So he did mention that he wanted 3 entries for the Masters. Obviously, last year's Masters qualified in the top 16 anyway, and also won this one.
Yeah. But no, very interesting concept army, I guess, from his point of view. Some say it's the sole reason Warriors got a nerf in the patch.
It's more the fact that there was a European tournament, a US tournament, and an English tournament within the space of about 2 weeks with very similar lists that all won.
Yeah.
So
but not all lists had fishy cookies or whatever it was. Seaweed cookies? Seaweed biscuits.
Yep. Seaweed cookies and luminous paint and a UV light with sound effects from the ocean, all inside a giant shoebox.
You've got to applaud the effort.
Magnificent. Yeah.
You say applaud the effort. There was part of me that didn't trust him when he said put your head in there.
Fair enough.
I had to. I don't know whether I wanted to, but anyway, I did, and it was very good looking. Luke Williams again with a really solid thing was mentioned in before. Matt Pell as well, who goes and does get some pretty high positions, and especially last year did as well. Was narrowly out of the Masters last year, so he always smashes me up, no matter how much I try. Matt Pell.
He's liking the blocky Warriors as well.
Yeah, very much so.
I think I'm right in saying that this is Amit's only tournament as well, and he's almost qualified for a
Masters. I was just going to say, Amit rocks up after 18 months of never playing, and probably knows none of the lists or anything, and gets second. Cheers, mate, for making us look like shit.
Yeah, I know. We try really hard, mate, and you just roll up and it's
yeah. But I did get chatting to him, and he said, yeah, actually, it sort of sparked his want to come to some more, so that there's at least that he'll come to some more and show us up that little bit more. Thanks very much.
This was particularly interesting for the Paired Weapons podcast, of course, because Kev, who'd taken his Kingdom of Equitaine army, won Best Painted, very, very narrowly beating Kevin Bromley in a dice roll-off for who could be the best Kev. He spent the whole weekend telling me how shit the KOE old book is, and as you can see, obviously Ryan's obviously doing the right things with it now. Was that the only time we saw KOE in the top 5 all season? I think it must have been.
Possibly, unless
Che might have done it in the Open. Yeah.
But yeah,
Ryan was fairly high up in the Black Country Brawl as well. I remember playing him in the last round.
Yeah.
Gordon's event.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a good player, isn't he? Has Ryan ever qualified for the Masters?
He did
before?
last year, yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
I think he just missed out on this year as well.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we'll get onto it in our Who's video later on next week. But I think Jack, Austin, and Ryan were the next 2. I think in line. But yeah,
it's probably the first Masters I can ever remember where every single person is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very unlucky if 16th doesn't get in this year.
Why do you think that is then, Tanka? What's the
I'm not sure.
So
I think
it's this year.
I think there's probably 2 things. I think most players who are playing a lot at the moment wanted to go to Masters, which is obviously sometimes you can have players that have managed to do well in some tournaments and can't make it for some reason, but this year they could. I think the fact it's real life as well is obviously a big positive as well.
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, last year UB, this year, fingers crossed, real life. It is so far anyway.
Well, we all held our breath at 5 o'clock today when the Prime Minister came on. I think was there a ninth age player for the Masters who wasn't watching Boris this afternoon? Do you think?
I think it's the first time the UK ninth age chat, which isn't really about ninth age, was just silent for half an hour. As well, but anyway, that sort of concludes our chat about the English Championships, and indeed the year's worth of events. Which I'll just put up again there for anybody that wants to look. I found it really interesting. Obviously, UB to real life that there was minimal changes to a normal format of tournaments. I guess people were just excited just to get back to real life, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've got to admit, after going to 3 or 4 real life events now, though, as well, that I do want to see some variety added into them now as well.
Yeah.
Been spoiled from UB.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe there's. I mean, it has to be said that there's some things UB can offer that real life can't. The veto system would be very, very hard to do at a tournament. Likewise, sort of detachment system would involve a lot of people taking loads of bags and things like that. Unless you're a dwarf player, that'd be alright. So there's maybe a bit of creativity. Not needed, but perhaps wanted for next year.
Yeah, I've seen the randomised list mentioned a couple of times for UB, where you write 5 lists and you randomise which one of those you use in each game.
Yeah,
quite cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still think it could be done in real life to have a sideboard thing because whilst it would be more difficult, we're all used to carrying around big trays full of models, and it's just more of the same, isn't it?
Yeah, sideboards have been done before in the UK previously, a long time ago now, but they've definitely been done with like a quarter of the army each time. I don't think you could do the veto because you just need such a huge selection, wouldn't you?
Sure.
That's the problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Any ideas, Josh, for mixing it up?
For mixing it up, I don't really know. Maybe just to make some of your own missions. That seems like the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think. I mean, I can't see there, after all this talk being about scenarios and things like that, I can't see there not being some that at least try it next year. I haven't
had a chance to read Craig's yet, but I will get round to it.
Yeah.
The one piece of feedback I gave him before when he started writing them was that there needs to be something that punishes MSU a little bit more because there's only really banners at the moment.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Of course, for those of you out there who are old enough to remember things like the Unseen Lurker tournaments, remember Bobo used to do those, and he really changed things up quite a lot. I mean, they got quite fruity towards the end. I think we all enjoyed something a little bit different.
Yeah, bit of Swedish comp as well every now and again.
Yeah, sure. Do you think it's as simple as bringing in some army list designing?
I would love to see what ninth would look like with a little bit of comp here and there, to see what tournament organisers think is. You'd need something quite simple, maybe a 0 to 5 selection, and you put a few things in there, or you'd need something quite simple, I think, to start with.
Sure.
But I would love to see a little bit of comp here and there, because as more balanced as Ninth Age is compared to previous games, there's still our best choices in a lot of books that you see too often.
Sure. Which I guess is what the veto system tournament was trying to address, really.
The comp would change every year, though, with the update, which is a bit... It's hard to get it right every time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
No, absolutely. Looking at this list as well, obviously this wasn't the entirety of tournaments everywhere. There were some one-dayers and things like that. Did you guys go to any one-dayers or anything like that outside of this list?
No, we had a few practice weekends for the team, but no actual events.
Yeah, I think I went to a few England practice weekends, and then no one-dayers for me. I think it was just about getting back into it, I guess, this year.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And get back in it, you did, and Tanka, very consistent as always. Well done, chaps, on getting to the Masters through all these events.
Cheers.
Thank you, yeah.
I have to say as well...
Bravo, congratulations, Another great achievement.
Yeah, there's a special thing from me, from just going to so many tournaments. I think that's pretty... I mean, Josh, you were 8, Tanka, I think 7. Both of, and really, Tanka, you were 8 because you were at the Masters instead of the Masters Open anyway. So, the fair play to go into pretty much all of the tournaments that were on offer.
Yeah, my usual plan is I try and do one a month, if I can. Because I don't have too much responsibilities, and I'm self-employed, so I can get time off when I want. So real life for me is not getting away too much, so it's quite easy.
So how many games would you play like in a year then, would you say, Josh?
To be fair, I would say I don't take many pickup games. It's usually just tournaments for me.
Yeah.
Tournaments and practice weekends.
I'm very similar. I don't play. I do practice weekends with the team, and then I play tournaments. I don't actually do games in the week anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sure. So another thing as well, looking at all these tournaments on offer to people, you two specifically go to lots. But I think even showing this is that you don't have to in order to get to the Masters, right? I mean, Kev is a shining example of that. Only actually going to 3 this year, but winning one of them and winning Scottish Championships and getting an automatic. I think I'm right in saying that Tom Clues had an exceptional year, but only went to 4 tournaments as well. How many sort of tournaments do you think are average for the Masters players?
So this year, I'd say probably 6 would be. If I had to guess, I'd say 6. It's quite interesting. In the past, looking at the scores that get in the past, you wouldn't get into the Masters without 350-ish.
Sure.
4 or 5. You'd need 4 or 5 top 5, top 6 results to get that. So it's a bit of an interesting change to this year. I think UB, obviously, there's a lot of players that don't like UB and didn't play at the start of the year. So, and then they obviously couldn't get enough events in at the end.
Sure.
So I think a couple more real life events, there would have been a few more different names in there.
There seem to be more players going to UB events, though. It seems more accessible to people, which I would hope they'll have some scattered around in the tournament scene next year as well.
I think that might be something to touch on as well, is that it was very much a year split in 2, a game of 2 halves, some would say. In that you had the UB, and then almost we got so excited that we could go to real life that there wasn't that impetus to run a UB because there were so many tournaments going, literally 1 a month in that. Probably a bit more if you discount December completely. So do you think that there is, I mean, outside of events we shall not name, do you think that there is a place for UB in future years?
Yeah, definitely. We haven't finalised it yet as the committee, but I think where the plan is to have 1 UB event a year that counts towards your score. So you can run as many UB events as you want.
Yeah.
But only 1. I think the plan is only 1. But Yeah, so you will obviously, if you do 2 or 3 UB events in the year, you'll obviously have a good chance of getting a good score from one of them.
I think it's important from a community aspect. I mean, obviously, Tom and I sort of, represent the community aspect. That, as Josh was saying, there's more people doing it. This is obviously accessible, and if we want the scene to grow, then we need to do this. Otherwise, we're going to be playing the same 30, 40 guys just over and over and over. And, and then it's important that we expand where we can. And I think UB is a great vehicle for that. So I'm all for it. I mean, it's not without its problems, but, it's a pretty decent vehicle for what we need it for.
Yeah.
I think the main issue with UB and real life at the same time is trying to fit a tournament in at the weekend in the same week that you've got a UB game gets tricky. That's going to be the main issue.
Scheduling, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I guess we should mention that it's not all UB. Warhol is available as well. Probably more so on the continent than in England as well. But that could be another way to spark up online tournaments a bit. It's definitely, I think I agree, it's definitely a way to open it up to new people and to people that have been coming a long time that perhaps have new responsibilities that can't quite get out to, say, 6 or 7 tournaments a year, and do that and do it from their home, and that might be an either or sort of thing from people. So I mean, 70 people at Scottish Championships is actually the biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah.
So I guess that says something, right?
I mean, if you look at, I mean, a classic example is the T-Bomb himself, isn't it? Trent Bernard, who basically started playing Ninth Age on UB, smashed onto the scene, and then is now playing in real life stuff. I wonder if without UB or Warhol or other sort of tabletop stuff, is whether or not we would have got Trent playing, and of course Trent's now bringing his mates along as well. So it's been really good. I think it's been really good.
I believe even further than that, Trent is part of the Lions sort of thing now at the minute, or the group. So I mean, Trent is probably the up and coming young player of the year from last year that got into the Masters. Now it's become a Lions member, playing with you guys in England, Team England, and actually that could then open him up to an ETC thing. So straight away from zero, where me and Matt are, right, to the big guns in a matter of years is pretty incredible. Especially when you consider he's done that without physically meeting people for a year and a half.
yeah. And he became a character on the scene, and we never actually met him.
Yeah.
It was like, I literally met him outside the travel lodge in Froome for the first time. I was like, oh my god, that's Trent.
I know that the first time I saw him was through the videos that he sent me for the trailer for last year's final, which is, I mean, there was some I didn't use. But otherwise was pretty good, So it's mad to sort of hear and speak to someone and for so long, really, and then be a part of it. So that's really cool. It's an interesting argument. I think there are so many pros to online games, UB and Warhol, with all the, as you can see just from this list, right, all the different tournament actual formats being changed so much, but fitting it into the real life schedule might be a challenge for TOs, which I'm quite interested to see how it evolves actually.
Yeah, I think Tanker's hit the nail on the head though. Here is you block out a 5-week chunk when you're running a UB tournament, and unless we as a sort of a group of players want to have a game on a Wednesday and then a tournament, and what the tournament takes out of you. I mean, I'm useless till the next weekend, frankly. So it's it would be very hard to do that. I don't know whether or not it can be deconflicted in some way, but there is an issue to be faced there.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some options with UB, because the one thing we did see with UB is obviously all the rounds were just a week. There's obviously options to do 2-week rounds or 10-day rounds to try and get 2 weekends in basically into each round in the UB events.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a bit of scope on UB to open it up as well.
Absolutely, and for what we should say as well is for getting a event ranked is pretty straightforward, really. There's not many events that will be vetoed by the rankings committee, so to speak. The rankings committee really do very little in that regard. So if you guys have an idea for a real life or UB tournament and want to run an event, maybe you've been going to events for ages and ages, and you go, these TOs don't know what they're talking about, and fancy a go yourself, get in touch with us. There is some sort of baseline packs available for people that have never run a tournament before. So get involved, get in touch with us, and yeah, the more tournaments, the better, right?
Yeah, and certainly, we as a committee would be very happy to support you and stuff like that. And if you want, someone to give you a hand with refereeing and things, there's always guys who are out there happy to do that. So,
Yeah, including the rankings committee themselves, actually. I know yourself have done a few tournaments, Matty, in that regard as well. So, get in touch. If you want to put it on the comments to say where on earth, get in touch and then do that, and I'll forward you on. I'll probably put a link, if I remember, in the description as well. And yeah, of course, this isn't the only Masters thing. We should say this is all towards getting to the Masters, and the road to the Masters is very, very close now. It's in the army list building stage, right?
Yep.
Or decide, if you're Tanker, just deciding what to rock up with.
Yep.
Now, I do. Obviously, I wish you both the best of luck, but I do have a question that I'd like to ask. So, bearing in mind, obviously, this is the apex, the pinnacle of your playing calendar year. Going to be drinking?
I won't be personally, because I drive to the venue both days because it's local.
Okay. That gets you off the hook. Then, what about you, then, Josh?
I'll see after the first game. See whether I crack out the crapples.
The only thing about the Masters I'm gutted about is the army swap with your opponent won the vote. Gutted. The one 2 years ago where it was random army swap out the hat was, in my opinion, the best one.
Sure. So not the army swap itself. It was actually the army swap with your opponent rather than.
Yeah, this year's with opponent, whereas I'd rather do it out the hat.
So, why is that? And elaborate on that a little bit.
I just found it more interesting. I think the fact that both you and your opponent are both going to know the armies really well, whereas the other one opened it up a bit more.
Okay, yeah. So you could both have an army that is neither of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
To point out, I won't know any other army well.
Well, why?
No, they won't know your army, so it'll be okay.
Well, unless seven other people take Sylvan Elves.
Just hoping I get your mark in the army swap. The armies I'm thinking of taking don't want to play shooting. So
fair play.
It says I'm bringing shooting.
Yeah. All trees. But yeah, no. Again, thanks very much. Oh, the mind games, Matty. The mind games already.
Oh, I know. It's a different level, isn't it? Mate? Makes you realise what goes into being a master.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just haven't got the killer edge, have we?
I know, very much so, very much so. But these guys obviously going towards Masters, ready to compete for the number one to be the master. How seriously drunk they'll be is another question itself. But for you viewers, you will have a competition yourself. We at PTG and Paired Weapons, we've got a competition going throughout the Masters coverage and the event itself, with the winner to be announced shortly after. We have a little VT that I'll roll. So if you want to get involved, check this out. Hi guys, it's me, Lucky Sixes from Proxy Table Gaming.
And me, Maddie P from the Paired Weapons Podcast.
The Masters competition is back. For your chance to win a selection of these prizes, including gaming accessories, 3D print vouchers, the Breach introduction game, and commissions from the Gobbo, simply answer this question. Which army was placed at the top of the latest tier list, released in December 2021? Was it Orcs and Goblins,
Demon Legions,
or Beast Herds?
To enter, simply send your answer to the following email address: pairedweaponpodcast@gmail.com. That's the pairedweaponpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to include your name, contact details, and your answer. Check out the Masters Review Show on the Proxy Table Gaming YouTube channel shortly after the tournament itself.
Thanks to all our partners and sponsors.
And good luck.
See you later. Well, there you go. A plethora of prizes and some things to get involved with as well. There's more to come as well, so keep watching these videos and keep checking out all the different podcasts and everything. In fact, so much so, I'm even going to put the schedule up once again. There's so much to get involved with, whether you're just literally just watching and just soaking it all up from afar, or if you want to actually go onto some of these YouTube channels or podcasts and actually speak to them, get involved and get interactive. They're doing that as well.
That's right, Lucky Sixes. If it's Ninth Age you like, then Ninth Age you're going to certainly get. And what a great range of prizes that the guys have managed to come up with again. I know we had a lot of very happy winners last year. I think Felix is still happy with his laser.
Yes.
His laser pen. So it's,
no, absolutely.
Yeah, and Trent got his wrap painted by Kev, and with lots of great prizes. So
yeah, and hoping to have even more, like I said, to come to that. So a really good example. I really like the intro to Ninth Age box as well, which is something that will get people that have even never played wargaming potentially into it. So all your girlfriends, right? and your daughter, Matty.
Well, she's already played me and beaten me. So
fair play. She'll be in Masters next year, I'm sure. But one last call we should say, as part of the schedule and everything, we are doing live commentary on the weekend of 15th and 16th. We've got some really good guests already coming. But here's a shout out for anybody else that would like to get involved. If you're not currently going to the Masters or Masters Open, and you would like to watch but would like to get even more involved than you normally think, give us a shout, put it in the comments, or say email the Paired Weapon Podcast, and get involved. We're really happy from all aspects of the globe, like we've already got.
Yeah, we got guys going to be dialing in from California to be joining in on the commentary and stuff. So if you're interested in commentating on games that are going to be live, and you've got a bit of spare time over the weekend of the 15th, 16th, give us a shout. You don't need to head down to Birmingham either. We can facilitate remote stuff, as is evident by the guy coming from California.
Yeah.
but you don't need to head to Birmingham. So give us a shout.
Yeah, especially from California, right? That's probably not.
It'd be a long way to come for a 3-hour tournament, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, once again, guys, thank you very much for coming. I'm just going to switch over. We wish you all the best of luck for
yes, good luck, guys.
Masters.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Guys.
Who's going to do better?
As long as Craig doesn't win it again.
Everyone can agree on that.
Who is your tip to win it before we leave you? Let's leave us with a last tip to win it.
Depending on if he can actually get back into the UK in time, Jake should do pretty well, I think, with ID. Hugh will do well with the Demons as well.
Yeah, my bet would
be there or thereabouts as well.
Yeah, my bet would be Hugh. I think he's come third quite a lot, hasn't he? So I think it's time he gets podium.
Hugh finished the year first, and then Jake second in the rankings as well.
And if you want to learn more about these guys that they're mentioning, if you're watching and you've never even heard of a Hugh or a Tanka, then come over to our next video, which is happening next week, which is a Who's Who. It's one of my personal favourites. Is where we go.
Yeah, through. I love this one. This is the big one, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
I get to unveil my dark horse of the Masters again.
We do.
Who's going to be my boy this year?
Which, I mean, you may already have heard of if you've listened to the Paired Weapon podcast.
You may have done.
So there's lots of ways to get involved. And Matty, thank you very much, I should say, for help hosting me with these fine gentlemen.
It's always a pleasure to be working with you, Lucky Sixers. It really is. And I just can't believe that it's a year that's gone already. But the tension's building. We're in the run up to it. It's not going to be a 6-week marathon like it was last time. So It's just going to be flash bang over in 48 hours.
But what a 48 hours it will be.
Oh, mate, it's going to be absolutely epic. It really is. It's going to be very exciting, very exciting.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great when we're going to be able to explain to people how it's going to work on the day with our roving reporter and pitchside commentary, punditry, and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we've actually got Cammy to come back, and it's Birmingham, right? So
yeah.
His hometown. But no, thank you guys for watching. If you've managed to do it all in one sitting, give yourself a massive round of applause. Otherwise, well done still. We've got plenty of stuff on the channel in terms of looking back. So we've got trailers and schedules and things like that. And if you want another look at the competition, go check that out. We've got stuff coming up on the channel in terms of the Who's Who probably being one of the bigger ones coming, and of course the live coverage. Also, we have the live draw this weekend just coming. If you want to check out the Masters Open draw, that'll be on the Cavalier's Tale channel, and where they'll be doing that live along with a little bit of commentary on the lists. And on this channel, we'll be here for a 9 o'clock start for the actual Masters itself list review, I guess, mini. Kind of, which you'll already have done on your channel podcast, of course. But we'll be showing the lists along with who the matchups are going to be.
Yep. So with regards to the lists, they're got to be in on Friday the 7th. Then Jordan is going to put them on a fast-footed cat directly over to Maddie P and Kev. We're going to pour over it, and we are broadcasting them pretty much live on Saturday morning.
Yeah, man.
And we've got the one and only Dr. Dan Thomas to tell us what it all means as well. So it's going to be out there in your ear holes on 8th, the Saturday, fresh off of SoundCloud and other iPod and podcast related sources.
Yeah, absolutely. In the description, I'll put a link to all of the content providers. But if you guys are watching, including you, Matty, thank you so much for getting involved. It makes the Masters just that much better, all the coverage, having so many people physically involved. Thanks for doing content. Some people, sometimes, including yourself, in the last hour, and doing it when you should be sleeping.
Well, mate, it's an absolute pleasure, and I just want to say that that we didn't coordinate the shirts, did we? We just went with blue checks because it's classy.
What will happen next time? I don't know. Anything good.
Who knows?
But do tune in, and of course check out all the other content providers, and hit us up on the comments or the forum. Please do, if you've got a spare second, hit that like button, subscribe, and all that jazz. It does help us. We're very, 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 very close to 1,000, which is a bit of a milestone for us. And we will celebrate thusly if we do get 1,000. So please, if you've got a second, get to that. Otherwise, that's pretty much it from us.
Absolutely. Well, it's an exciting time, mate, and we're all stoked for the Masters. I can't wait to get going. Thanks very much for doing all the hard work again, Lucky Sixes, and I just say bring it on. Let's get going.
Yeah, absolutely. It couldn't get here quick enough. Thanks from me. Thanks again to our guests and the viewers. See you later.